Hey guys, it's Suzy Lolley. If I've never met you, then I record in weird places and I'm live from Dunkin' Donuts. Also my hair bump, it's just a little extra bumpy. That's okay. Anyway, tonight, so glad to see you. I'm releasing a video on Canvas for hybrid learning. This is the third or fourth one where it has legitimately come from a viewer request. So people who are on my email list, get on there, suzylolley.com/subscribe. Actually send me requests, and then I also see those in YouTube comments, and I try to make a response video. So this sweet friend started hybrid learning in her district yesterday, and I feel really bad because the video didn't go live, but just it's life. So I thought if I could start over with my son who has been in hybrid learning in high school. He's a high school freshman, and they went to school a whole 6 days here in Georgia before they were then hybridized. And actually it was completely remote for like 3 weeks, and then they went on a hybrid model. So if I could go and give his teachers advice, or if I could take lessons learned, both good and bad, from that and apply them for you, that's what I want to do. So stay tuned on Suzy's unsolicited advice for what to do in a hybrid learning situation. So some of you are here for my practical, here's where you click on Canvas. This video is totally going to be unusual to you. If you have gone back, if you're like my real fan club, and you've gone back and watched any of my other videos, then you'll know that not every video I've ever done has been just a tech demonstration. So this is one of those that's going to be more of Suzy's talking head, but I think they're good ideas. So stay here with me. The first tip I have for you with hybrid learning is, or if you're not in hybrid learning yet, maybe you're still one of the ones holding on to face-to-face. Don't wait to use Canvas. The first time that kids see Canvas at home, if that's the first time they've seen it, or the first time their parents have seen it, or the first time they've seen it in a while, it's probably not going to be a good situation for you or for them. You want to make sure that they're using it regularly in class. Even if you're still there, you're all together. So this can be a tip for hybrid or face-to-face or whatever. Get them using something in Canvas very regularly, if not every day, twice a week or something like that. But have them not only doing that, but then if you teach little kids, I would add a layer to that, have them doing the same kind of content in Canvas over and over. So if you're like, okay, I think discussions are going to be what rocks my world, or assignments where they type in a text box, or using the calendar, whatever it is, get them in there while they're in class with you, and you can guide them, and you can say, no, baby, with a smile on your face for the 15th time. Get them doing that with you, so that when they get home, they may not even have to ask their parents. They can maybe, get the password from their parents to get on the computer itself, but then they're kind of on autopilot. So don't wait to use it. You're really handicapping yourself. You're stressing yourself out, because then when they do go home, or on the days they're hybrid, because that is the topic of this video, they're stressed out and they're not getting as much accomplished, nor are you. You just want to have a Valium or something, okay? My next tip, I don't care how old your kids are, I think you need to have a version of, I'm going to say it in quotes, a morning meeting. A lot of you have found me because of Canvas for Littles, but I know that's not the only people who watch these videos, and I, again, am a former middle and high school teacher. We didn't have a thing called morning meeting because we might have homeroom in high school as needed, or once a week or something, and it was called guidance, but it didn't really happen all the time that way. But I think it's really important that you have some place that your kids hear from you every day. Two options for that. You could pre-record a video, and this is going to be terrible, y'all, but I just started exploring Canvas Studio. It's because I'm on a free account, so I don't get to explore as much of that as I would like to. But you could record it in Canvas Studio. You could YouTube it. You could use PowerPoint Recorder. That's another video on my channel. So go do any of those. Just have some kind of a daily message. Hey, I'm your teacher. I love you. I'm still here. If I love you is not your thing, then, give them a fist bump virtually or whatever. But something that says not just that, but also here's what you're doing for the day or for the week, whatever works for you. But I think it's really important that as kids start to, you have, for example, my son's he went Monday, Thursday to school. His cousin went Tuesday, Friday to school, and then everybody was at home on Wednesday. So I don't know what your hybrid learning looks like, or your virtual learning schedule. But on those days that he wasn't in class, the teacher was still doing a lesson. So I'll talk about some ideas for that in a minute. But I think the at-home kids were probably getting the gyp on that, because they just were expected to work through either somebody else's video or, a module or whatever. I think it's good for everybody to have some kind of a daily check-in. And I'll give you some tips on, if you need to record that for both places, what you can do. But give some kind of a morning meeting. Here's what you're doing today. Go get them, Tiger. I think that's really important. And then I want you to remember that students need ways to collaborate amongst themselves, okay? So there is a discussion. That's just the most basic. If you want to, in Canvas, set up discussions and kids can respond to each other. They can upvote each other's comments. That's one way. But if you want to add those other layers of connection, then think about ways that you can use breakout rooms, or, you know, if you're maybe using a separate tool like Zoom that has breakout rooms, or Teams, which is what I'm very familiar with, or think of ways that you can use that groups feature. I made a whole video about it, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago now, so just go back and look for my groups video. But think of ways that your kids can still feel like they're connected even on days they're not there. So not only do they hear from you, like I said in my last tip, but they can hear from each other even on days when they're not there. So maybe I'm a Monday, Thursday kid, but on Tuesday and Friday, I could be working with my group, so at least I'm working with someone and not in isolation out in the world. So let's talk about your actual instruction. Okay, we've talked about coming together, allowing kids to work together, but what about your instruction? I'm going to give a couple tips on that. Number one, even if students aren't in school, I think they need to hear something taught by you. I know it's a big pain in the neck or whatever, but let me just give you the most basic version. When you're already delivering a mini lesson to your in-person kids, so you've got like a 10 or 15 minute, you know, you're starting the class with this little talk about theme, main idea in detail, integers, whatever the case may be, something on the periodic table. It's not probably something you're going to talk about for 50 minutes straight. Oh, please, whether they're in person or not. But it's instruction that would be vital to the kids who are, again, if we're in a hybrid situation, or if there are kids who are just virtually learning or whatever, there's something about the way you say it, you do it, you read it. Like I used to like to read out loud to my freshmen, and all the way up to my seniors, I would read novels aloud to them sometimes because there's something about the way I do it. They're used to my voice. And so I had a friend whose daughter was out. She was part of a small group that was quarantined. Not her whole school was out, but she was out. And the school had not prepared a way for her daughter to get the instruction that the other kids got. She was basically having to teach herself and work through worksheets. Okay, let's try to avoid that. So at its most basic level, say I'm going to read a chapter out loud, teach a mini lesson, whatever it is, I'm just going to turn my camera around. I can either capture myself live on Teams or Zoom, or if you use the big blue button in Canvas, whatever it is, I can capture myself live. Or I can just do a little recording of that so that I have something to supplement anything that kids might have to work through that's not as clear. They need me plus. So I'm going to highly encourage you deliver it live, but then while you're delivering it live, just double dip and record yourself. And then you can again post that to Canvas from wherever it was so that it's very easy to access. And with that being said, sorry, I said that, I repeated myself because I switched slides here. But I think your recording should be posted, guess what? In a module. I think it should be posted at the beginning of the module, and you can decide to make a daily module. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of teachers, but it depends. If you're teaching little kids, I think daily module is great. I've talked about that again in other videos. My philosophy is not going to change even though I'm changing videos. Or if you teach older kids, then maybe it's more of a weekly module or a topic-based module, but at the beginning of either subdivided sections or whatever in that module, you're like, hey guys, here's the mini lesson, and then they're able to work through the work. So there's morning meeting, or whatever you want to call it, but then there's also a mini lesson that's content related, and then the work that they need to work through to process all of that. Next tip, whether kids are at home, working in person, doing something physical, doing something digital, for the love of Pete, have them submit it in one place. You don't want to have some kids sending you stuff via carrier pigeon, and some kids writing on paper, and then you're having to keep track of that. My beloved basket, I used to have, actually I still have it right here because I use it for my podcasting stuff. I used to have a whole series of baskets, and then I collected those on Friday and took them home and attempted to deal with them. But that's not even a thing anymore. Whether kids are working on paper or in a module or whatever, make as much stuff digitally native as you can. And I have a whole assignments video on that, like use a text box, use a discussion, something that can already be submitted into Canvas, or a cloud assignment. But if that can't happen, if you're having them, act something out or make a video, just make it some way where they can record themselves doing that activity or take a picture of it, and then they still all turn it in together in Canvas. That's less for you to manage. Like I said, even though my channel has gotten traction and social media has gotten traction because I promote specifically Canvas, but I really use a lot of other tools. Canvas is just one of the tools I use in my daily support of teachers. But I just want to let you know that Canvas is not the be-all end-all. No tool is. Kids still need to get out and play. I don't know about you, but I have to move around. If you can't tell, I'm kind of a wiggly person, probably a little hyper for an adult. And I have to get around and move. I can't stand myself just sitting in front of a computer staring at a screen all day. I feel like I'm doing administrative work, which is not my number one talent. So just think of ways, like I said, even though kids can still submit everything in Canvas, Canvas is not the place where they have to do everything. Do as much as possible there, but also build in activities that are STEM and hands-on and things where they have to get up and move and run around the house and act like a maniac. They will appreciate that. They can still capture it into Canvas, but you will appreciate the variety, so will they. And it will not, it'll save their eyes if they're not using those blue blocker glasses, which I haven't bought into that cult yet, but also just save their, their focus and their enjoyment of school if they get to do something that is not just on a computer. Again, I know this was a different kind of video, but I hope you enjoyed it and got some practical tips. But I'm not the be-all, end-all. I'm not the oracle that you come to consult. So feel free to leave me comments below that share your favorite tips for hybrid, remote, any kind of Canvas learning you're doing, any kind of just basic good learning that you're doing. I want to hear about it. So do your fellow teachers. So can't wait to hear from you. Take care.